A very hearty present here. I Karthikeyan feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all of you. The National Service Scheme NSSIT is the student chapter of a public service program run by the government of India. We are a team with over 1,000 active and dedicated members, having a common goal, striving for the betterment of our land by fully indulging ourselves in the service of India. We organize multiple events, campaigns, and guest lectures to spread awareness about societal issues. We work for the betterment of society, following our not for me, but for the nation.
Karthik, your voice is not clear.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, yeah, now fine.
So should I start from the beginning?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So a very heartily good evening to one and all present here. I, Karthikeyan Singh, feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all of you. The National Service Scheme NSS IIT Roorkee is the student chapter of NSS, a public service program run by the government of India. We are a team with over 1,000 active and dedicated members, having a common goal, striving for the betterment of our motherland by fully indulging ourselves in the service of mankind. We organize multiple events, campaigns, and guest lectures to spread awareness about societal issues. We work for the betterment of society, following our motto, not for me, but for the nation. One of the significant issues we are currently focusing on is road safety, which is becoming a significant cause of deaths and accidents in India and the world. To aware people about this, NSSIT Roorkee is celebrating the National Road Safety Month 2022 from 22nd January to 21st February 2022. Today, we are here to witness a live session by Mr. Goos on shift of paradigm for sustainable safe mobility. On behalf of our whole ITR community, I would like to thank and extend our warm welcome to our speaker for today, Mr. Goos. He has over 50 years of worldwide experience in the field of safe mobility and road safety. He is the former president of Global Road Safety Organization, La Prevention Routier International (PRI). He participated in global and regional road safety networks like the UN Road Safety Collaboration (UNRSC). He is also involved in the SaveLine Africa project, introducing and implementing reliable data management and collection systems. He was the member of organizing and scientific committees of many international conferences and performed consultancy activities for different countries, including India. We believe his presence will have a profound impact on the participants and attendees and will inspire them. So, without wasting time, I would like to invite Mr. Yu Goos for the webinar on Shift of Paradigm for Sustainable Safe Mobility. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for this very kind introduction. And good evening, everyone. And many thanks for inviting me to your webinar. I'm very honored to share knowledge and exchange views with you. And please, next slide. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. And allow me to give you a very brief introduction of the country where I live. It's the Netherlands. We call it also the Kingdom of Cyclists. And the Netherlands is a very small country in Europe. It's, I think, 80 times smaller than your country, India. We have just 18 million inhabitants, but we have 21 million bicycles. So we have more bicycles than inhabitants. And it's a tradition in our country that we put safety for cyclists first. We protect them, and in residential areas we give them equal rights as motorized traffic. And children, for the first birthday, it's always a bicycle. And you can see in the pictures, it's a tradition, a very old picture. It's a royal family. It's left, on the right on the bottom, it's our Prime Minister. It's young people, it's children, it's old people. Everyone is cycling. Next slide, please. And before I start with the presentation, I will show you a short video.
Mobility defines the human race. For millions of years, we have traveled the planet, settling one day, moving on the next. Transport modes have rapidly evolved, increasing in speed, autonomy, reliability. Makes them farther and farther every day. But mobility is not immune to the urgent challenges of this world. More people, more cars, a changing climate. The mobility choices today, they'll lock us in congestion and pollution, or they will open the way for new possibilities. Access for all, efficiency,
Video is not running.
safety, and respect. Sustainable mobility for all is not a dream, but it requires a revolution. These four goals, mutually reinforcing, will enable people and goods.
Well, the video was not quite a success, the video. Maybe we can go to the next slide.
Mobility defines the human race. For millions of years, we have traveled the planet, settling one day, moving on the next. Transport has evolved in speed, autonomy, reliability. They make us go faster and farther every day. But mobility is not immune to urgent challenges. More people, more cars. They will either lock us in congestion and pollution, or they will open the way for new possibilities. Access for all, efficiency, safety, and climate respect. Sustainable mobility for all is not a dream, but it requires a revolution. These four goals, mutually reinforcing, will enable people and goods to continue moving better and faster, improving the health, the environment, the lives of billions, and helping stabilize climate change. We see a future of efficient and accessible mass transit, buses that move people quickly through busy cities, trains that levitate, commuters in the air and on waterways. We see solar roadways, electric cars, cars that drive themselves, freight that moves on trains, on boats, in airships. We see real-time traffic communication, a rise in time-efficient movement. We see dedicated bike lanes, bike shares, walking paths, access to jobs, schools, markets, a transportation environment that works for everyone. We all have a stake in this future. We all need to play a role in making it happen. Transforming the world's mobility requires a vision, bold actions, a global coalition. Sustainable mobility for all is not a dream. It is a revolution.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So here's a brief outline of my presentation. First, I will give you some figures, some picture of the global road safety situation, and then some slides about the decade of action, the previous one and the current one. Then the safe system approach, some slides to explain what it is and why it is the most effective approach. Then we go to safe mobility, urban mobility, and best practices all over the world. And then I will deal with the top 5 of risk factors. And in the end, but not at least, young people as risk group, but what's more important, young people as game changers. Next slide, please. So when we want to know about global road safety, we can use the different global status reports from 2013, 15, and 2018. And the next one is expected in the year 2023. When you look at the figures, we see the devastating figures. It's 1.3 million deaths every year and 50 million serious injuries. And for youth and young children, it's the leading cause of death. Next slide. When you look at the modes of transportation, we see that 54% of all traffic deaths are pedestrians, cyclists, and motorcyclists. These are the vulnerable groups. And if we make a comparison between low-income countries and high-income countries, then we see that in high-income countries, where there is 40% of world's vehicles, there is 7% of road traffic deaths. In low-income countries, however, there's only 1% of world's vehicles, but 13% of all road traffic deaths. So this shows that low-income countries, but also middle-income countries, are very risky countries. So the chance of dying in a road crash depends on where you live. I'm living in Europe, and there is 9.3 traffic deaths per 100,000 inhabitants. For the Southeast Asia region, it's 17 traffic deaths per 100,000 inhabitants. And the worst situation is in Africa, as you can see, with 26.6. Next slide, please. When we have a closer look at the figures in the regions, and we look at the type of road users, then we can see that, for example, in Africa, most of the traffic deaths are pedestrians. However, in Southeast Asia, it's the motorcyclists who are the most vulnerable and the most numbered. Next slide, please. So in general, we see that in low and middle income countries, that these countries have 90% of world's traffic deaths, while there's only half of world's vehicles. So you can see it's very vulnerable countries over there. And globally, more than 50% of the traffic deaths of vulnerable road users are those living in low and middle income countries. As I told before, Africa is 40% pedestrians and 4% cyclists and motorized two-wheelers, 9%. In Asia, however, it's the most important group are the motorized two-wheelers with 43%. If you look at the vulnerable road users, we can see that between 67 and 85% of all traffic fatalities are in urban areas. Another figure is that road safety and road crashes has a huge economic cost. It's between 3 and 5% of GDP. And usually we are talking, when we're talking about road safety, we are talking about road crashes, deaths, victims. But road crashes has also very negative social implications for families at local level. families grieve and mourn about losing a beloved one. It causes also poverty, because most of the young people who are the only breadwinner has died and then left the family in poverty. So when you look at the first decade of action, which ended in 2020, we see that in this period there was an increase of population, increase of urbanization, and related to road traffic victims. It was in the beginning and in the middle stabilizing, but in the recent years it was increasing. So the targets are not achieved. We work with 5 pillars: management, infrastructure, road users, vehicles, and post-crash care. The positive thing is that in this period, the foundation has led for isolated actions during the second decade. There is a broad dissemination of scientific knowledge on what works, and we have strengthened our partnerships and networks. There was established an United Nations Road Safety Collaboration and a Global Alliance for Road Safety NGOs. We have held UN Road Safety Weeks. There are global road safety policy plans and global status reports. A special UN envoy for road safety, Mr. Jean Todt, was appointed, and there was established a UN Road Safety Fund. And periodical global ministerials on road safety were organized, and also the UN General Assembly make a priority of road safety. Recent developments were that was the establishment of regional road safety observatories. There is information on crash data and traffic data collected so that you can make benchmarking between countries in a region. And every day of every year, a World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims is held on the third Sunday in November yearly. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So the second decade of action just began, and we are a little bit on a crossroads. We had last year, of the year before, the ministerial and the Stockholm Declaration, and there was the first step made to the new second decade of action. An important point is that the new global plan 2021-2030 rejects business as usual, because business as usual brings nothing extra. It will result in estimated 30 million road deaths and 500 million serious injuries during the next decade. So in the new global plan calls governments and stakeholders to take a new path, one that prioritizes and implements an integrated safe system approach. And I will come to this approach later on. New target, the same as before, 50% reduction of traffic deaths and serious injuries by 2030. An important focus on low and middle income countries. Also focus on traffic injuries related to the age group of 5 till 29 years, because for them road safety traffic injuries are leading cause of death. And another focus is on speed and speed management and urban areas to promote walking and cycling. And in the second decade, these are made explicit and gets priority. And of course, with the knowledge we have gathered, we can focus on evidence-based interventions. Next slide, please. So when we talk a little bit about the global plan, we see that the global plan on the chapter what to do has 6 pillars. The previous decade there were 5 pillars. Here we have 6 pillars. And what's important is the first point, multimodal transport and land use planning. Because now we are making a relationship between road safety, urban areas, health policy, public transport policy, a green and safe policy, and mobility policy, and all come together and are integrated. And for road safe infrastructure, we focus on 30 kilometers an hour zones and safe school routes, speed management, and the other points we already mentioned. How to do it? Once again, focus on low middle income countries, focus on speed reduction, especially in cities, because there are most of the victims, the death and the injuries. Capacity building, and that means you need good structure and coordination. The establishment of a lead agency will work very good. You need a legal framework, you need data collection and analysis, monitoring and evaluation to see what the measures, the effects you expect are also achieved in practice. And you need to have all stakeholders on board. And of course, financing can give a positive contribution to that, and technologies as well. And who should do all this work? Well, to begin with the international agencies, UN agencies, World Health Organization, for example, Southeast Asia, national and local governments and authorities, but also private sector and funders. We need funders. They can fund and donate to the UN Road Safety Fund. And civil society is very important. Academia, NGOs, but also youth. And then we come to the vision. And what we see is that it's accepted that mobility is an integral aspect of our lives. And safe and secure roads play an important role in reducing poverty and inequities and increase access to education and employment. An efficient and safe transport system contributes also to the realization of sustainable development goals. And to realize this integration and to realize results we are expecting, the safe system approach is put to the core of the decade of action. Because the safe system approach recognizes the complexity of the transport system and that humans, vehicles and road infrastructure must interact in a way that ensures a high level of safety. Then we come to the second video. The next slide, please. and I will show you a second video. Okay, let's go to the next slide, and this is the safe system approach and the principles. Because the safe system approach is an approach that integrates different fields of measures, but also different policy fields. That means that the safe system approach requires a long-term vision. It's not something that can be implemented exclusively on project basis or incidentally. So the safe system approach provides a systemic view of the entire transport system. And one of the most important principles is that the acceptance of that human beings will make mistakes. They are fallible. And the human body is fragile and not designed to absorb forces. No longer we should blame the victim or road user for a crash. The safe system approach is based on forgiving human error. And that's in the conventional way of looking at road safety. When a crash happened, the police is there, they make a report, and the report, they try to find out who was guilty of the crash, and then it's sent to the insurance company, and then it's clear which company has to pay, to put it in simple words. Another way of looking at the crash is that you ask the question, how is it possible that we build a system, a road infrastructure system, that allows these kind of road crashes happen? So that's another way of looking at road safety. And road safety is also so to see a shared responsibility, including those who design, build, and maintain roads. So we have to think about infrastructure as a necessary condition to make the situation safe for road users and not blaming road users that they cause accidents and crashes. And this is a very important point in the safe system approach. Education and enforcement are supportive to the safe system. Main focus is safe infrastructure and environment. Next slide, please. The safe system approach also use the pillars. It's also 6 pillars, and and the same as the pillars in the global plan. And well, we said already a lot about safe infrastructure, safe road use, education programs, campaigns, driver license education, safe vehicles and technologies, post-crash. And we know that safe vehicles, there are almost every day new developments in technology. And that's good. Technology helps us to make the world safer. But there's also another side. Technologies, for example, smartphones, and so on, has a negative effect on road safety because they lead to distraction. So we have to deal with technologies in both way and have to see how we can decrease the negative points and how we can increase the positive sides of technologies. The 6th pillar is management, and that's everything that contributes to make the first 5 pillars effective. And it's important that you have data. In a lot of countries, there's a lack of data, but you need data to see if the effects you desired are achieved or not. If you don't know that, then you don't know if you are working in the right way, or you should change the direction of the way. Next slide, please. So this is the core of the title of my presentation, safe system approach. That means that we need a shift of paradigm. And the essential points are that we have to put people first and not cars. We should shift from the sole focus on crash reduction to elimination of traffic deaths and injuries. There also must be a shift of paradigm from car-oriented to non-motorized oriented traffic, like walkers and cyclists. And a safe infrastructure design must provide safety for road users. You cannot build a wide road for cars and then put a sign on it, it's allowed just 50 kilometers an hour. You invite them to speed, and then you put this kind of sign at it. So what we have to do is to design roads according to the function it has. And if it has a residential function near schools or elderly homes or shopping centers, then the speed limit should be 30. If the road has a function for for flow of traffic, then it can be 50 or sometimes 70. So you have to think about that. And it's also that if the infrastructure is safe for vulnerable road users, like children, young and elderly people, pedestrians, cyclists, it's safe for all. Next slide, please. Our third video. Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is one of the top priorities in the second decade of action. That means the focus on safe urban mobility. And what I already told you is that you should establish urban roads hierarchies. So residential streets, streets for traffic flow, and so on and so on. And then match road function to the speed limit and design. What we have to do is we should reduce motor vehicle traffic volumes and giving vulnerable road users more space. What we can do is identify and eliminate hotspots, spots where there's a concentration of traffic crashes. We should create safe intersections. 78% of crashes involving pedestrians occurs at intersections. Make pedestrian crossings safe and improve walkways. Adopt 30-kilometer-an-hour zones, supported by traffic calming measures, like school, shopping, residential areas, and make, if possible, 30 kilometers an hour the default speed in urban areas. and higher speeds only in exceptional cases for special reasons. Improve enforcement, and if you can do that in combination with mass media campaign, you have added value effects. Make a priority of making schoolways safe. Most of the schoolways at the moment are just 1 or 2 star. Try to make them 5-star according to IREP criteria. Create cycling provisions. Separate bike lanes and safe crossings. And tune with public transport for the last mile to be that safe as well. So we see all over the world good examples, best practices. Example in Africa, some African countries like Zambia, Botswana, Senegal, they create safe schoolways. In Europe, in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, they announced to change the infrastructure to promote cycling and walking. Ireland will invest 10% of the total transport capital budget on cycling. And Barcelona is redesigning the whole downtown streets to prioritize people and not cars. Next slide, please. And Spain is the first country that makes 30 kilometers an hour default speed on urban roads. And Paris and Brussels and Amsterdam and London and Austrian cities will follow. But also in India, we have good best practices. For example, the Cycle for Change Challenge for walking and cycling is pilots in 11 cities. Or the Safer Streets police trainings launched in Delhi in partnership with international organizations. They rolled out the road safety program to 150 traffic police personnel. And we all know that it's important that enforcement is there and that the quality is high. And there are many more inspiring examples. So when we go to the top 5 of risk factors, then we see that speeding is the biggest one. 1/3 of all fatalities has to do with speed. Second one, distraction and fatigue, drink driving, seat belts, child restraints, and helmets. And what are the solutions for that? Well, of course, it starts with a good road safety legislation. And if you have the legislation, it's necessary that there is high quality enforcement. Also, requirements for licensing should be serve safety on the streets. And you should build an infrastructure taking account of all road users, designed to facilitate safe behavior. You can think about traffic calming, protection of cyclists and pedestrians, roundabouts, road signals and markings. And there are possibilities in vehicle safety features, like intelligent speed assistance, technologies to disable texting and other forms of distraction, seatbelt alerts, and so on and so on. So youth, when we come to youth, it's a risk group. We cannot make it better at the moment. Road crashes are for this group number 1 killer. and young males represent most of the deaths. It's 79%. About 350,000 people aged 15 to 29 are dying each year globally. And that means that close to 1,000 young people die every day on world's roads. 1,000 people, young people every day. It's devastating numbers. And youth are more likely to be killed in lower middle income countries. For example, youth death rate per 100,000 population in India is 22.3, with an representation of males. Well, what are the factors? Well, what we see is that with young people coming together, three main factors. It's age, gender, and inexperience. Young people who have got their driving license, they have the skills. They know how to drive a car or a motorcycle and so on, but they don't have yet a lot of kilometers experience. And they actively seek out risk-taking behavior. And young men are more likely than women to engage in this risky behavior. And young people are also exposed to risk. They use vulnerable modes of transportation, and they are encountered high-speed motorized traffic. Other factors are high speed, use of alcohol and drugs before driving, texting and other distractions while driving. So, and young people, they can do about that a lot, but there are also defects in road design. They are by wide roads invited to speed, while this is not the intention. And of course, but that counts also for other groups, post-crash care, the time taken to reach a crash site and hospital and the availability of hospital care. But young people, as I can see, are also game changers. It's the group most affected by road crashes and trauma. And this group will inherit decisions of today for safe mobility in the future. So we should generate ideas on how to better protect the most vulnerable, including youth. And we should engage with young people, young leaders, to foster a greater ownership of road safety. Young people can be road safety ambassadors to educate youth and their peers. In the Netherlands, we have a lot of this kind of projects. And it's well known that young people, students, listen better to their peers than, for example, to an old man like me. And young people can represent a new group of road safety advocates with fresh perspectives. And in this way, young people can be part of the solution. And since a few years, we have the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety. And they have chapters in the different United Nations regions. And a statement of the Global Youth Coalition for Road Safety in Chapter Southeast Asia is mentioned here. And it said, we, the youth of Southeast Asia and of Western Pacific, are fed up of corruption, leading to poor regulation and enforcement. Pedestrians get forced out of the sidewalk by vendors and vehicles. We see overcrowded and speeding public vehicles, simply because drivers want to earn more. And still, not enough people are wearing helmets on two-wheelers. That's their statement. And let's now look at the video of this global alliance for youth safety.
I am more than just a statistic. You see, thanks to my existence, the society can now be optimistic about the future. But with all these road crashes, how do you expect me to get to my future? Huh? My father used to say, work hard and make your life an easy one. But the road to my destiny is not an easy one. They say that life is what you make it. But how will I make it when decision makers won't let me be a participant? I can see what is happening to Mother Nature. Climate change is all around me. I don't need a lecture. No, I don't want to sit back. I want to take charge. All I need is opportunity. It doesn't take much.
These streets are my only hope to the future. Will you walk with me? Walk with me. I won't stop. Claiming it. Stop blaming me. A voice man. Claiming it. Safe or down. Claiming it. Safe space, safe space. Claiming it. Clean air, what? Claiming it. Stop blaming me. There's no panic. Be safe road. Claiming it, yeah.
Yeah, we're claiming it. I said, we're claiming it. Yeah, we're claiming it. I'm finding me shit. We're claiming it. Zebura crossing, Zafuka decoration, Chechini Mweno Nation, Wabedewo education, kubyenkozesa y'ekkubo okulungamya abatambula abavuzi n'abasabaza amateeka ku kkubo. Nawe nga kwasibwe Mama Africa okusanyawo obutonde kutema ttabi bwe kwotudde. Abavubuka naddala abakyala twetaaga participation mu kukola decision ezino generation.
Are my only hope to the future. Will you walk with me? Walk with me. I won't stop claiming it. Stop blaming me. A voice man. Claiming it. Safe or down. Claiming it. Safe space, safe space. Claiming it. Clean air, what? Claiming it. Stop blaming me. There's no panic. Be safe road. Claiming it, yeah. We claiming it, yeah. 'Cause we are the youth of the world. Our voices to be heard. We're working together to make the earth better. Good roads to ride on.
Ride on.
Clean air to breathe in.
Breathe in.
A better place for you
Africa
and
Prince.
me.
We need a seat with the leaders, not on the side with cheers. Our influence is bigger than all the fears. That's why we drive on the road on full gears. Over 1 million youth perish, it all brings tears. Climate change, save our green airspace. Young minds can combine to save our race. The ecosystem is all at stake. Emission from cars not giving us a break. The youth don't drive so clear, no seatbelts on, slow down, speed kills out there. Give us a chance to speak, we can articulate the facts, work with us more, we can surely reduce the deaths.
These streets are my only hope to the future. Will you walk with me? Walk with me. I won't stop claiming it. Stop blaming me. A voice man. Claiming it. Safe or down. Claiming it. Safe space, safe space. Claiming it. Clean air, what? Claiming it. Stop blaming me. There's no panic. Be safe road. Claiming it, yeah.
So thank you. The next slide, please. So this was the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoy it, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us the opportunity to learn from your knowledge. It was indeed very enlightening to hear from you all this while. Now, we'd like to move on to the question and answer session. You can drop your questions in the chat box.
Sir, there are few questions, so I would like to read them so that you can answer them. The first question is, what, in your opinion, are the quick wins for promoting road safety?
Wins. Well, I mentioned the five risk factors, and it's speeding, it's wearing seat belts, it's distraction, those five. And those five can be more or less easily dealt with by campaigns combined with enforcement. Of course, the enforcement must be there and must be of good quality. But if you can deal with these high risks, then you can decrease the number of traffic deaths and serious injuries very much. And of course, everybody knows that infrastructure solutions are expensive, but sometimes you need to do that. For example, you can begin in your country or in your region or in your state to select some hotspots and eliminate one hotspot a year, depending the money and budget that's available. So you can do that, and that is most effective. And when you want to do traffic calming, that can be done with low-cost measures. And you can start in the surrounding of schools, elderly homes, residential areas. And these are measures that can be taken very easy. And if you want to know more of these kind of solutions, the Global Road Safety Facility from World Bank has a publication, and in the publication is listed an overview of all measures that works. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time, but you can look at the list and then have the discussion, is this measure appropriate in our situation, in our culture, in our national conditions?
Okay, so next question is, like, for India, how can we adopt the various practices that are used in the world? Like you have mentioned various practices that are used in the world. For India particularly, how we can adopt the various practices in the case of India?
How we can adopt what?
Various sustainable mobility practices that are used in the world in case of India.
Well, I think India is already very active. In India, we have a lot of NGOs. For example, we have Federation of Road Safety NGOs in India. The Indian Alliance of NGOs. We have Indian Road Safety Campaign and Arrive Safe and Track Society. And in various states, there is a lot of activity and work on legislation and enforcement. Is that a little bit an answer to your question or not?
Yeah, answers. Okay, so the next question is, like, as youth is the biggest risk group and the game changer, how can we make aware this largest group to adopt the techniques for road safety?
The what for road safety?
The various techniques you have mentioned in your PPT, like for the sustainable mobility and safe practices, how can we make youth aware of these things? Like as you mentioned, these are the largest risk group and the biggest game changer. How can we make them aware?
Well, I am most of the time I'm very simple in this matter. Just do it. And we have the tools. And quite often I hear, yes, we have the tools and there is political will, but nothing happened. And then I said, well, political will is interesting, but not enough. We need political priority. And that means that there is a budget available and earmarked for making cities greener, making cities safer, and so on. How we should do that, we know, but we need the money to do it.
Okay, so the next question is like for a developing country like India, what should be the most important target? Educating youth for road safety or building safe infrastructure or something else?
I didn't quite hear the
Like for a developing country like India, what should be the most important target? Educating youth for road safety or building safe infrastructure or something else? The the thing which should be most prioritized in out of these.
well, the safe system approach speaks of integration of all kind of measures. So if you have an issue to deal with, then you should see what kind of measures you can take. Of course, it's very important to educate young people, not to tell them the rules or this kind of stuff. They know the rules. It's not important to tell them with what skills they need. No need for that. They have the skills. It's about culture and attitudes. And that can be dealt with by educational programs. And of course, it would be very good if a group of young advocates educate their peers, because research shows that that has the most sustainable effect. When we look in general, then it's the best solution to start with is to build a safe infrastructure. Because the main question is not, let's see, who has caused an accident or a crash and who is to blame for it. No, we should ask ourselves, how is it possible that we have built a system where this can happen? So there is a shared responsibility for designers, for road builders, to make the infrastructure in that way that it will be safe for all road users. And what I told you, sometimes the conventional way of thinking is we have a road, but we have congestion. What should we do? Then they make the road wider, and then again congestion, and then wider and wider. And then they see, well, we have such a wide road with 7, 8 roads, and now they're speeding. What should we do? This is not the way anymore to deal with road safety. You should ask yourself, why are people using the car? And what are the alternatives? Can we provide public transport? What can we do to build more provisions for bike lanes or pedestrians and so on? And then step by step, you can build a safe city. And I said step by step, because when I make comparison with my own country, in 1970, we had 3,600 traffic deaths. And then Dutch parliament said, enough is enough. We create a lead agency and we should bring down the number of traffic deaths. And now in 2021, we have 600 traffic deaths. But the important lesson is we did 50 years about that. So don't expect that if you do all your best and make city safe, that next year you have an enormous decrease of 50% or more in traffic deaths. It needs time and it needs a vision for a long period. And then you have to take the right measures.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, like in this COVID period, how how can we check a person is driving drunken or not by maintaining COVID protocols? Because normally to check a person is drunken or not, we need to be in close proximity of the person, and for testing the same device is used for everyone. So how can we follow the COVID restriction and check the person if it's drunken or not?
Well, sometimes you see on the driving that the person has not just drink lemonade, but also alcohol and perhaps took some drugs. And if there is suspicion of that, I can imagine that the police officer said, well, regarding COVID, I have to keep distance. I think they should bring him to hospital and do the tests over there. If there is a serious doubt about the capacity of the driver.
Thank you, sir. Like as you have told before, like to educate youth, the only first thing we have to do is just do it. So what would be the best way to teach youth? Like we have in the school curriculum, some they have added the lessons on road safety, but still the people are not following the road safety practices. So like which is the best way, the best practical way which you can adopt so that the people can learn about this? Are some of these things used in other countries also, which we can adopt in India?
Well, I see that, well, traffic education is not a matter of we learn people this and that, and then they show safe behavior. No, it's not working in that way. So that's why in the Netherlands we start at a very early age with traffic education. For the youngest ones, just train them the rules. If you want to cross, look left, look right, look left, and then go. When they are a little bit older, then you have to discuss with them in a way about what they can expect behavior of others. And what works in one country, that doesn't mean that it works in another country, because especially education has to do with culture, has to do with attitude, has to do with other conditions. So what you can do is to see what curricula are used in different countries, and we have websites for that. We have guides for that, so we can see what's there in the world, and then pick your own method of which you think will be effectful, but not to adopt it for 100%, but take it and adapt it to your own national culture.
Okay, thank you, sir. So there are no more questions for this. Karthike, you may continue.
Yes, sir. So we thank you, sir, for sparing time out of your busy schedule to grace the event with your esteemed presence. It was very enlightening for our audience to hear you all this while. The information you shared regarding the decade of action for road safety and safe system approach was very informative. the best practices we can adopt for safe urban mobility is something which we must adopt. It was nice to know about how young people as the major risk group, but also the game changers. Now I would like to invite Professor Premlata Jina, Faculty Advisor, NSS IT Roorkee, to present the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so good evening to all of you. Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you are
Yeah. Okay. So good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Good evening to Mr. Joop and our NSS team, all the faculty, staff, and students. I'm really very happy to be part of this webinar, which is basically working together for a safe future. Very nicely delivered by Mr. Joop. And I'm really thankful. I mean, on behalf of NSS IIT Roorkee, I convey my sincere thanks to Mr. Joop for accepting our invitation out of his busy schedule. And for last 1 hour, I mean, in fact, it is 7:20 in India. So, I mean, he delivered almost 120 minutes on non-stop manner. I could see the vast expertise and very practical thought process, which is very important. A layman can understand what he was saying. In fact, the same story, it had happened in my mind that is it a road safety technology and is it combined, I mean, it is conformed to a particular group of people, a technology which only one person or some group of people could understand. But today, it's a really eye-opening session for all of us that we could sense that everybody should be the part of this very, very noble cause, a very important issue, not in India, throughout the globe. And sincerely thanks to Mr. Joop from on behalf of NSS IT Roorkee. He has delivered very nicely. And yes, here I want to add a few lines. I want to say something what NSS IT Roorkee is planning in this regard. So to Mr. Joop, and in fact, our NSS team and our students also, they should come to know that this month in India, we are observing this National Road Safety Month from 22nd January to 21st February 2020. So in this whole month, we're trying to have some awareness program. First priority, how to create awareness among our youth and our community, as well as in our society, outside IIT community as well. So in this regard, in fact, other things also we have involved, like ideathon or some other like competitions, quiz or something, write-offs, posters, so many other activities also, and interaction with many other, the consultancy who are the leading agencies in this field of road safety. So also we are trying to, our team NSS is putting hard effort to, bring the better ideas and some solution to this important issue. This is a thrust area I could sense, because in road safety, the life is concerned. So in fact, we have also one safety office in IIT Roorkee, and combiningly also we are trying to do some good activities in this field. And for Mr. Ju's information, NSS IIT Roorkee is working hard for last 18 to 20 years for serving the society, not only in this safety of, in this aspect of road areas, but also in the society educational hub, sustainability in, areas like in rural development, like, rural educational belt, like, our how we can reach, how we can spread our technology to the rural cities. And moreover, we have many other, very volunteer works like blood donation, plasma donation, the app creation for the COVID patient, and so many other works. So this is for your kind information. And this NSS site Roorkee is very, kind of, we have around 1,000 enthusiastic volunteers. And I could take the names of our lead of this particular group, Mr. Ujjal. So can you speak something, Ujjal? He is our General Secretary, NSS IIT Roorkee. He is leading the team and he has put a lot of effort for this event as well. So many thanks to Ujjal for this particular big event you have arranged from your big effort. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And here our this road safety vertical leading person again, Mr. Anuraz. So he's from civil engineering. So a very big clap for Anuraz. So Mr. Joop, he's the leading person now for this road safety vertical. We have many verticals. So he's actually contacting every person. And in fact, we believe that, you know, they are our leaders. So, and really, I'm fortunate to hear you, and this, including myself, all will be inspired how to speak very simple, but which will be very impactful. That is what I could sense from your information, from your way of delivering the points. So it was not like webinar, it was very, very effective. And that is what we are learning. Our young youth leaders, I request to capture all this. And this is a very nice moment for all of us. Yeah, nevertheless, I am very thankful to Karthikeyan. Yeah, good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. And thanks to all my, colleagues and staffs and student members, and other NSS core team members. Thanks for your valuable time, effort. And again, thanks to Mr. Joop for your valuable time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And again, very soon we are going to conduct our social summit in the month of March. And also we are going to celebrate our social summit, kind of a sustainability conclave conference. So you're most welcome. On my behalf, I invite you to be part of those events. So thank you so much for your kindly gracing this occasion, delivering your expertise. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks. Over to Karthikeyan.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. Now we can end the session.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.